Dan Hanna's here, the director of Succubus. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Excited to have you here. Tell us about your film Succubus.
So, Succubus is the story of a guy who's going through a marital separation. Best friend convinces him to get on a dating app, and he ends up meeting a woman who seems too good to be true. And boy, does that turn out to be the case.
I've had some maybe some dating experiences like that. I don't know, could be called good, bad, whatever. But tell us about it's being released when?
So, actually, now in the US, it is out as of yesterday. So, it's out to rent on VOD and US and Canada, VOD and I was born in Canada, so I'm not trying to shortchange the Canadian side of things.
That's
So,
okay. We'll do it
yes.
for you.
So yeah, out to rent VOD. You can rent or own it, and we're really excited about this movie and people seeing it. I think people aren't going to know what they're going to get when they get on board with it, and
Well,
that's an exciting thing.
I'll tell you, I'm a fan of movie posters. The Film Thread Instagram is just a feed of movie posters because I love them. And your poster is awesome.
Thank you.
Look at this. This is, I love it. It's a creepy hand holding a mobile device with a very attractive woman on it. Did you have a hand in the poster, so to speak?
I did. I mean, this was someone that we had hired to do some concepts. Who's amazing, and this was sort of the edited. We arrived at this. She came up with the concept, and what's funny is Shout Studios also came up with like the same concept, and this just ended up being the version that we liked the best out of those. But yeah, it was really cool and fun to kind of play with how much are we going to try and connect with this woman on the screen versus how much of the demon is going to recede into the background, and just kind of find that creepy, cool balance. And I just love the red. It certainly works for the movie.
Now, how did you? Because we've got almost 3,000 people watching live. We will get to your chat comments and questions, but the question that comes up a lot: how did you pull together the financing and get this project off the ground?
Yeah, so the first step there was, we had a little bit of money together, enough to where we could make an offer to somebody like Ron Perlman. And so once we had Ron, it was still, it was always still an uphill climb with financing. Shout Studios came in for a portion of the budget. We had some private investors come in for a portion, and we shot in Montana, which gave us tax incentives. And I put in some of my own money into this movie. So if you want to rent it, buy it, you'll be certainly helping me get closer to the black as soon as possible. But that was the big thing. Was it's kind of piecemeal, which is pretty common these days. But if you can show enough of through your work and through your script, where you could get someone like Ron to read it and like it and think, okay, I could get behind this. That's the first and I think most important step if you're trying to make a movie that is probably over 200,000, 250,000, which is also a totally respectable thing to try and do for a feature.
The obvious question: how'd you get Ron Perlman, and what was it like to work with him?
I mean, I'll say first, like, Ron's amazing, and he's like an absolute pro, a great guy, and just delivered. He had to do some stuff that could have made him look really silly, but he trusted in the process that he was going to come out looking like the cool guy that he is, and I think that's how it worked out. But yeah, it was, it's like we had a casting director we had brought on. There's so much stuff you have to do early on, and you kind of got to jump before you have you got a plane or a parachute or anything. We had a casting director we were working with, and he knew one of Ron's agents, and we all thought that Ron could be great. And then according to Ron, it's like he gets a script, and if he thinks it's interesting and he wants to keep turning the page, then he's gonna probably be on board for it. And he said that was the experience that he had reading it.
Did you get to go like party with him at all? There's a lot of craziness on the set
in Montana.
Right. Yeah, we were pretty isolated in Montana, but you know what I did get to do, and I understand he's quit, but I did get to smoke a cigar with Ron. And so that's sort of a pretty like classic Ron Perlman, core memory, I think, is Ron and a cigar. So getting to join in with that, have a cigar with some of the casting crew with Ron and hang out, that's pretty fun.
Well, Montana's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I've been there once. Love it. Love it. Couldn't be a better location.
Especially for this movie, which has, I think, maybe like 4 shots where you can see outside of a window and into people. But it was gorgeous being there.
Let's go to comments from everyone in our chat here. They have questions and comments. Here you go. Alan, if you would read these.
Sure. From AD Ellis, you've worked extensively as an editor. Was there a reason you didn't claim the credit on Succubus? Do you enjoy collaboration in the editing suite?
Yes, and actually, on the movie credits, I actually am the 3rd editor, but I ended up taking it off of IMDb just simply for the reason that I am known most of my credits are an editor, so I didn't want to people have the mistake that I was not the director of the movie, because sometimes the algorithm works, and as I'm trying to get other movies made, I want the movies I've directed and written to just show that first and foremost. But the collaboration in the editing room, I think that's really, it's where the movie becomes a movie. I don't think any part is more important or any role is more important than another on a movie, but the edit is kind of where all the pieces start to be a movie instead of some other kind of art form. And so I love the collaboration there. And Brian and Noam, we actually have a company together that's an editing company, Time Weaver, and we just work so well together. And you got to have trust in the people you work with too, and take their ideas.
All right. Bill W wants to know, is there a Succubus popcorn bucket?
So that would be pretty amazing. And there's a lot of different ways you could go with the popcorn bucket. I think on this movie that could really have sparked some controversy. And our DP does have a 3D printer, and he mentioned it at one point that maybe it's something we should do. So I don't know, if there's demand, we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
Open
merch can actually help you pay for your next film. So
yeah.
Brock Sampson, are there any references or tie-ins to Lilith, the first succubus known in known history?
I wouldn't say there's not really any direct references, no. But if anyone kind of can glean some, I'll happily embrace them as a happy accident.
All right, Rare French Moon. Hey, Dan Hanna. Question is, was there any other title for the movie, or because succubus is such a great word to pronounce, that it was the only one title possible?
I think you actually really nailed it, because before I even knew what a succubus was, when I first saw it, it was like the word is just so perfect for the movie. It just feels like the movie. And so and then I've been kind of, had a more not generic, but just my own idea of what this demon should be. And then when I realized, the succubus is the female incubus, it just was too good to pass up. And I could never really get behind anything else.
Yeah. Toronto John says, we need a suck a bucket.
Agreed. All right, that's 2.
All right, sorry, Chris. Okay, here we go. Suns and Shadows. Ron only required cigars and whiskey. Nods. Spider Sensei 72. How did you get Rosanna Arquette too?
So it's funny is we had 2 casting directors on the movie, because it took a long time to get made. And so Liz Barnes, our second one, originally Anne Heche was going to play that role, but Anne passed away. I'd edited a movie she was in. And we had to find someone who would be kind of equally great to replace her. And honestly, Rosanna Arquette is so cool. I never thought that she would be interested in the movie. She does such cool stuff, but she really got it. She really got the underlying themes and kind of the deeper themes of the movie. And it was really cool to, get to meet her and have lunch with her and hear that was coming through. So yeah, Rosanna was awesome. And I think she's very funny in the movie.
How many days on set did you have them?
With Ron and Rosanna?
Yeah.
It was literally like, I almost hate saying this, because Ron's part is very big in the movie. It's not like a one scene kind of thing. He's throughout the entire movie, like opens the movie, closes the movie, and throughout. But he was actually on set only a couple days, and we just like rocked and rolled all of his stuff, just shooting him. And so he arrived on set and just shot 12 hours straight through first day, at night, and just nailed it. Yeah. And Rosanna was one day. and her part's a little smaller, but also very core scenes and key scenes, as you'll discover.
All right, Sons and Shadows. How many Cuban cigars were required for payment?
It's a whole grip truck full. I mean, it was
Wow.
a big thing, you know.
There goes your budget. Christopher Moonlight Productions. Do you have any marketing tips for indie filmmakers? Yes, Christopher is a indie filmmaker. So, any marketing tips?
I'm probably the one who needs the tips, honestly. But I think the big thing is really trying to get people engaged and like behind the movie, especially obviously anyone that you have on the movie that has, you know, followers and stuff like that. But I think you'd be amazed at, I think, how little sometimes it takes to you know, move the needle. And I'm still working on that and trying to discover that myself. But Brendan, the lead, and I, and Rachel, the other lead, like we're really out there kind of trying to just drum up support, you know, wherever we can. And a little goes a long way. And, you know, if you see this and you can see the movie and rate it on Amazon or IMDb or Letterboxd, these things really mean a lot. And it doesn't take that much to kind of start to change the algorithm and change the narrative away from, you know, people who are haters. Also, there's a Russian movie that changed their name in the English to Succubus, I think, to piggyback on us. So we're like fighting off their bad reviews at times, which is a little tough. Came out also 2024. So make sure if you do rate the right Succubus, you've seen the poster, that's the one. That's the one to go for. Yeah.
Okay, and then last question from Aaron Sharman. Dan, were there any specific films or directors that influenced your vision for Succubus?
There's a lot of Cronenberg in this, for sure. It has a different tone than that. Somebody told me, and I think this is a great comparison. They were sort of was like, it's kind of like Cronenberg by way of Tarantino. And I think I can accept that as like a very cool compliment. And hopefully other people think that too when they get it. But, you know, it's got the Cronenberg imagery at times and the body horror, but it's a little bit more, it's got a little more humor maybe in it, or a different kind of humor, a little more Sam Raimi at times, a little more kind of Tarantino-esque characters, a little bit, you know, with Eddie. And so that's kind of what I was going for with it. And
the movie is out now on VOD?
Yes, out now on VOD as of yesterday. So we're off and running.
Well, congratulations, Dan. Thanks for coming on to tell us about your movie, and wish you luck on your next film. Come here and tell us about it, your next movie.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really like it.
Take care.